Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to day 6 of our Express.js bootcamp. Um, Today I'm Kunal Chaturvedi, and with me are moderators today, Tulika and Ravi. So we are going to continue from where we left yesterday. The code for the same is, as mentioned, available on the GitHub repository as always. So you can just go and clone it, and you'll get all the code that is required. So yesterday we did, uh, I think, implement our create product route, not create product, I think read product route and delete product route. We also made a route such that not all users can delete the products of any other users. It is sort of like a OLX website or a India Mart website where any user can post products, but you can only manage whichever products you yourself have posted. Uh, so in that process, what we also did is we introduced middlewares where we protected some pages from unauthorized access. So if a person is not logged in, actually, he or she cannot create products. They can access the homepage for now, the situation that we have, but they cannot delete any product at all, or they cannot create any product, whatever way they want. So let's get started today. I'll just share my screen. Somebody just give me a thumbs up if the screen is visible. I think it should be now. Okay, thank you. So let's go here and continue with where we left yesterday. So as I was saying, in our index.js, we did a lot of uh, work yesterday. I think all of our work was in index.js. We created these middlewares. I think I can go and show where we created them. Uh, it was this one. So these are the middlewares which we created. These were basically chain functions which were being executed one after the other whenever a create product router was called. Before we do this, before we go and clean up all this code, let's just make one final piece of our router, which is the update product router. And the update product router is going to have the same logic of a delete product, as in the person who created the product, only he or she can update that particular product. So for that very purpose, let's just come down here and create something like a get request, and let's put the endpoint as update product. Um, and because update product will work on a very specific product, so we now have to also include this variable in our uh, parameters of the request, which is going to be written by this using this colon, and we can write product ID. Now we can come here and write our function as always. um, and let's and here we have to do a few more things. So uh, this is okay, I'll just collapse this for now. So okay, so this will look very similar to the create product routers, but one difference here is when we were creating a product, we actually don't need any previous knowledge of the product that is going to be created, because obviously if it is not created, we don't know anything about it. But when we are updating a particular product using its product ID, the unique identifier in the database, we need to get that product before we can edit the details of that product. So to do that, we will do something very similar like we have done before. We will again use this connection string that is mentioned above, and we will do something like, and we will again connect to the database, make this function asynchronous. um, And now in the collection database, in the products collection, we will query for our specific product by writing var product, which is variable product is equal to, and we will just write collection dot find one. And inside of find one, again the parameter we will use is a filter, that is an object, JavaScript object, and inside of it we will mention something like underscore id colon and new object id, which we saw yesterday is a class used to store object IDs inside of MongoDB database. So we cannot directly just compare strings inside of MongoDB. We need this object ID class. So object ID, and we will say request dot params, which is the parameters of the request, which can be seen here. So we will just write that and say request dot params dot product ID, and this should give us our product that is needed for updation. Now one vital thing which we will do now is instead of just calling the create product, or instead of just saying render create product, we will actually write res.render update product, and this page is not yet ready, but that is what I'll call it. Update product, and then we will supply it some data, and the data is only going to be product, and we'll say product. So that is all. We will use this to render our update product page, and our update product page will know that there is a certain variable called product which we will be updating. Now I'll tell you why this is required for now. So let us just go into our views and create a file with the same name that is mentioned here, update product dot ejs. That is what we will do, and essentially it is just the same thing. So we can just go and copy this, and in our update product.ejs, just paste it here, and we will have to now change a few things. Obviously, our form action, the post request that will be made on updating the product, will not go to create product, it will go to update product. And now the difference that I was saying happens here. So whenever, for example, say you have uploaded a photo on Instagram, and you want to go and update it. So when you update it, you are basically querying one specific photo or one specific post on your Instagram account, and Instagram is giving you the information. So it also then gives you the option to edit the description and all, but it pre-fills the description for you, saying that okay, this was the current value, what do you want to change in it? That is what the interface tells you to do. So we will do the same thing here, and the way to do this is in HTML. In any of these input tags, the place where the information of this input tag gets stored is something called value. So to actually see what is the value of this very input tag or something, you use the value attribute of an input tag. So when we also want to change the value of that input tag, we again use the value attribute. And the way to do this is we write value is equal to, and inside of it, remember we just now included this product inside of the res.render update product function, which allows us now to use the product variable inside of EJS using all of these this notation of from EJS. So we can write something like product dot name here. It is because we were saving the product with these specific keys that we made yesterday. This name, price, photo, description. So the names will be the same that is given here, like these name attributes, and we will continue with pre-filling these values with the same object keys that were mentioned previously. Let me just clean it up a little bit, and we will again write the same thing. So this will be value is equal to product dot price. This will be value is equal to product.photo, and we'll continue this down. So when we open our specific update page, we will see this information, which is automatically pre-filled, which is what we require, like any other application on the web. Okay, so this should be product.description. Okay, so this is we are done for now. Let's type in nodemon and let's start our server. Okay. Now inside of this, let's go to our localhost 3000. Let's click on login user for now. Any user, let's just type in any user. And I think on the home page, we only have, okay, we don't have any products itself. So let's first create some products. Like yesterday, let's again create some. Okay, this time we will create a refrigerator maybe. So refrigerator. Okay, let's create something else. Some 14,000 rupees maybe, and keeps food cool. I don't know. So we will submit, and this should create our refrigerator. But again, we did not make any update product button. So to do that, again, we will come to our home.ejs file, and we will create another this form action with a get request to the update product page. And how we will do that, I have just duplicated that, and we will just write the action of this button will be update form. And the way we will do this is item.id is correct, so we are updating a specific item id, and the message is wrong. It should be update product. And the way most UIs work, I think update product should come to the left of delete product. That is how our HTML would be formatted. So let's just reload, and okay, it already comes below it. Okay, no worries. So let's click on update product. Okay, now we have an error. It says 404 not found. Okay, we have not changed our method. It is basically now sending a post request to the backend, and we have not created any URLs for the update product button like this. So instead, we will have to send a get a request. And let's go back and just, I think we will have to reload this once, and let's click on update product and see what happens. Okay, so our page does reload, but we don't have any products, or we don't have any information. Let us see why is that. Okay, so we have everything in place correctly. Let's try doing one thing. Okay, so we are also getting our update product thing well. And let us just try to let's just try to do one thing. Let's let's log our product and see if we are getting the correct thing in this, because I think this should not give us an error. And let's refresh this page again. Okay, I think once more should do the trick. Okay, our page is loading fine. Okay, one silly mistake from my end. It says promise. So that is what we talked about yesterday, right? In async and await. So like explaining our error is great. So we have one more reason to just recap what we looked at yesterday. So when we are logging product, you see that we are getting this promise pending is what we talked about yesterday. So this function is asynchronous in nature. It is running parallelly. It returns a promise at first. But if we don't tell it to await, it will store that promise pending value inside of product, and we will pass that value into our product. So essentially, we don't get any information from the product. So to allow Express.js to wait at this very specific function, let's write await and then again reload. And I think now our product value should be autofilled inside. Okay, again, our server has not started yet. So when it does, it should reload, and yes, our values get populated fairly nicely. So currently, we are almost done with our update product. The only thing that is left now is to make our a post router for our update product endpoint. And again, we keep on using the same things. Now here we will write uh, router.post, and we will say slash update product slash this colon, saying this is a parameter in the URL and product ID. And again, let's essentially just start with an async function and say again request, response, and next function. Then we saw why next is used, and it is mostly inside of middlewares is where it is used the most. Then we will let's reduce our work a little bit. Let's just come here and copy this information, this whole thing of our create product router, the post part of create product router, and let's just paste it here. But let's now also make some changes and understand why we are making those changes. Again, we are connecting our client, we are getting our database, we are fetching our collection. And now instead of just saying insert one, we will obviously do like call this function of update one. And update one requires um, more more parameters. Obviously, the first one is a filter, like what do we want to update, and what which item do we want to update, and what about that do we want to update is basically what how this function works. So there is going to be another feature, sorry, another parameter, and which is going to say what, like we will search for this very specific product ID and say object ID, and inside of this it will be request dot params dot product ID, obviously. And here, remember the way we implemented our authentication with Passport.js. When we did a successful login, we actually did this thing called find one and update. If we now go to our app.js, we can see, okay, not, it was not app.js, I think it was index.js only. Okay, if we scroll a little, see this one. This is what we were doing. Um, and I think find one and update is a little different in uh, what it returns and nothing else. So here we can just use update one. So we will do one more thing. So basically, you might be wondering that why is we are using the same function for find one and update one, and for updating we are basically using two functions. In authentication we used find one and update one, and here we are trying to use only update one. So why is that? So the reason is that find one and update one also returns the uh, thing that we filtered, and we can store it in a variable. Update one won't do that for us. um, so let me just check this once. Okay, so here let us do one thing. I think the way this function should work is we will just say set, and inside of set we will enter all these values. This is what we will do. So I think now it should work, and let's just hit save. Currently it was called refrigerator. I don't know if I have written the correct spelling, but anyways, Again, the server is taking some time to load now because I think there is some problem with my laptop. Okay, so let's just make some change, and instead of calling it refrigerator, maybe let's just add some random random characters to just see if it is being updated, and let's just hit submit now. Okay, we again get an error. It says update product not found slash update product. The reason being, okay, the reason being that our form for update product is not correct. So in our form also, let's put these marks and write product dot underscore id. This is what we will do. Um, and now our form also submits information in the correct place. And let's hit submit and see what happens. Okay, so now our update product also works. So we have our title, we have our title, we have our description, we have our update product button, we have our delete product button. Uh, let's do one more thing now. Okay, so for now we are done. Like our application is done. Obviously it looks horrible, but we can get into the front end a little later. So our very basic functions are working well. So there is just one piece of logic that we didn't implement for update product that we did for delete product is let's not allow all users to um, update any product, any other product. So we'll do the same thing which we did for delete product, which was this one. So we said if product.email is equal to request.user.email, then we will then we will allow for deleting the product, and else we will send this message of you don't have permission to delete this product. So again, let's just copy paste because it literally it's the same logic. Let's just paste it right here, and let's take this specific thing from here. Let's cut it, and let's paste it inside of this logic block, this if block. So if we save now and again try to do that thing with our logging into a different account and then doing all of that, our logic will definitely work now. If we want, we can try it again. uh, so currently our update product will work fine. It will not give us an error. Again, sorry for the slow server because of my laptop. Okay, so this is working fine. Let's just we are also yet to make a logout button for some reason. Let's now try another id and say a different id, and let's try logging in again. And this product is not created by this specific user. Let's create update product, and the page loads because we didn't apply this condition in the get router, instead in just in the post router. So clicking submit will just say that you are not authenticated. uh, let me see if it says product is not defined. Okay, sorry. So uh, when we are doing that, we don't have this product with us, so we have to also get a reference to this product that we are updating. So if we just try doing it once more here and clicking submit, now it should say okay. Again, what is the error? Oh, I think again it's the same thing. Let's try reloading it. Okay, it says you don't have permission to delete this file. Okay, it's because we update this product, I think. So here as well we need to make it product. So I think now we are completely done with our code. our logic for our CRUD application. Now all that is left is, let us now try to implement some let's try to clean up our implementations now. The reason being, you can already see we wrote lots of logic here, and it is almost 209 lines of code in just one router file, which makes it a little difficult to read itself. So we will do one thing. As we discussed before, our passport.js was not working initially, and we tried to shift it from users to index.js. So let's just shift this whole thing, this whole some 60 lines of code or something back to our users.js file. It's because it does not belong here. We did this as a short temporary solution, and it was not actually even a problem. So let's just bring it back to the users router. uh, our routers for logging in will change completely. It will always have slash users prepended to the string. Now if we click save here, it will not work because our Mongo client is missing inside of users.js. So because we should use this modularization to clean up our code a lot. So this will keep our files lean, and it will not create problems for us while debugging or something. So let's now also save this. Uh, but login user on our home page and all those URLs will have to be changed a little. Here we just wrote /auth/login, but now, as I said, it will always now have slash users prepended to the URL. The reason being, in app.js, if you just come and see this, everything inside of the users router is relative to this slash users. So whatever happens inside of users router, which is users.js, all the endpoints will have slash users prepended to it. So that is what we will have to mention here as well. And I think this is the only place where we even mentioned it. So let's try going to our index.js page, and now logging in should work definitely, but it might also give us this redirect URI error if uh, I'm correct, because I think it should give us an error. And let's just see. Okay, surely. So it does give us an error, and the reason being that we shifted everything inside of our users.js router. And when we tell passport.js to give a callback, it gives a callback at /auth/google/callback, but instead it should be /users/auth/google/callback. It is because this string doesn't know where passport.js basically doesn't know where it is placed inside of our file. So this string is not actually relative in that sense. It will only append this path in front of after local host 3000, and it will just ask for /auth/google/callback, which is not the case. Okay, now this now we but because now that is done, our Google auth itself will stop working, and it will say that there is a problem with the authorized redirect URIs. So again, to come to a solution about that problem, let's go back to our cloud console. I think it is because I have another ID, so we have to shift it. Let's change it to Express Bootcamp. Okay, and let's just go into APIs and services from here, and credentials. So the reason I told you already is because we are trying to read something inside of the slash users endpoint, but here we haven't mentioned it specifically. So let's try. let's do one thing. We'll add URI or URI, and here we will write this as slash. Uh, this was something which I wrote in when I was explaining a doubt maybe. So we can remove this. Our concerned callback is slash auth slash Google, and instead we will write slash user slash auth slash Google callback, and we will remove the empty one and hit save. And now if we try to reload, I think, okay, we have to go back and again hit login. Okay, now it works. And let's try logging in now. The authorized callback should take place normally, and we should now go back to the home page. So that is done. So our we cleaned up a little. We moved our authentication from index.js to users.js because that is where it belongs. We will close it now. As said, you don't often change or tweak your authentication when once it is done. Now let's come to index.js. We were doing a few things yesterday. We wrote these middlewares, these ones, and this takes up at least 6 lines of code extra. So let's try to get rid of that as well. And to do that, go to your root folder and just click on this empty space and click on create folder, and let's create a folder called middlewares. And inside of middlewares, let's create a file saying check login.js. And what we will do is we will just uh, copy this very function from here, right? Let's copy this function from here. Let's go to our check login page uh, and create something called var check login. It is we will just say check login here. And in JavaScript you can basically assign because variable is really anything that can be assigned to a variable. So you can even assign functions. So we will assign this function to this check login. And let's just format it a little. I use some extensions in VS Code which allows me to formatting by hitting Shift Alt and F. It formats the document, so that is what I've been using. And now we will use something called what was that, exports dot module, right? If I'm not wrong. Okay, module.exports. I forgot. Okay, sorry, my bad. So we will just say module.exports is equal to check login. The reason for writing this is that, as I said, if we want to use the functions from this file inside of another another JavaScript file on our server, we say that we are exporting this function as a module to another file, and when we include it in that file we can use this function. So now in our index.js file, come to the very top, and let's create another thing. Let's create another variable, and we will say var login check is equal to require. And inside of require we'll now put a relative URL which should come. Okay, we'll because we are in the routes folder, so we'll just write double dot slash, which takes us to the parent folder, and we'll go to middlewares, and inside of middlewares we'll again just say check login. So now what this does is this login check variable um, stores this function from check login, which was created here. We are basically going to implement the same middlewares, but just that we are modularizing it now. So this check login function gets exported as a module, and when this file is required like this, it basically returns the function. This function, returns this function, and wherever we assign that becomes that function. So we basically take that function out from check login, move it to index.js, and paste it inside of login check at runtime. So now let's scroll down a little more and see like this one. So we don't want to keep on writing this again and again. So instead of writing this once more, we will just say login check. That's all. So we removed that function and we just wrote login check, and our code is now a bit leaner. Uh, and I think if we have used it anywhere else, okay, so this was for delete product. We also did it for create product, right? So in create product as well, let's remove this and just write login check. And let's format it again. Let's format our file again and save. So when we were reading our reading our file a little while ago, it was almost 210 lines of code, and we have reduced it by 60 lines or so to 150 lines. There is also one thing which we can do, but I think I may leave that up to you to do that. What happens is usually when there is a lot of code like this logic that is written. Again, these are just functions, right? These are functions in themselves. So what we do is the way we replaced our login check function, the same thing we do by implementing something called controllers. Um, Now, controllers is just again a fancy word. We just gave the file folder name middlewares and made an indexed, a check login.js file, exported that function, and used that function name to replace all the functions inside of this very file. So let's do one thing. Instead of so let me do one thing. I'll just create one controller file, and I will leave the rest to you. So I'll just change this index this main function in the index router get thing, and you will see how this will further segregate and modularize our code to be a lot leaner, and will help much better in debugging. So again, let's just come here, click on create folder, and just write controllers. And inside of controllers, let's just say this is something called index controller dot js. Uh, Now let's come here and make this function, and like copy this function from here, and we'll do this thing, and we will say in index controller dot js, let's just say where index page, uh, or let's say index function, something like this, is equal to this function. But again, this very specific file doesn't have access to all this Mongo client and all. So to get rid of those errors in our index controller itself, let's also require this. Let's also require this Mongo client file. Let's do this. And okay, let's also require object ID if we want to do something fancy with our index page in the future, or like you would like to extend it. And let's leave it here. And in the end, obviously, we will again say module.exports. Module.exports is equal to index function. This way, we are able to export our function as a module wherever we require this JS file again. So now again, here what we will do is just write where login function, what was it, index function. This variable name doesn't matter, but just for the sake of cohesivity, I am doing this. And again, we will write require and say dot dot slash, go to the previous parent folder. You can see it here. We are in the routes folder, and when we go back a level, we are in the parent folder, and we can access controllers from there. And let's just write and say slash index controller, and put a semicolon. And now instead of writing this whole thing, this whole function inside of the index.js router itself, we will just say index function. and it will replace all the code that was there for the slash endpoint, and we replaced it by index function and moved all of our index function code inside of this index controller, which we then exported. And when we go and try to load our slash endpoint, it should work fine without any problems, because we did not change much. We only modularized the code. The user experience doesn't change at all. Nothing happens. It is only for the developer, because you would be building more complex applications, or maybe building even on top of this, something like that. And in the future you want to change, and in the future basically you don't want a lot of code inside of a single file, which will be a nightmare to debug. I leave doing the rest as an activity for you. I'll push this code to GitHub, and we and you can do this otherwise. One more thing which is very vital right now, uh, is, if you see right here, we are basically, if somebody gets hold of this in a production environment on an actual website, it is very unsecure, right? uh, Somebody can directly see my uh, database connection string right here. So this is also one thing which I really wanted to tell you, is we, instead of writing all of this inside of this string, we use something called environment variables. And environment variables are such that when you are maintaining some piece of code, or when you push it on GitHub or something like that, you don't want your passwords or your connection strings or your API keys or your client ID, client secret, lying around as a string. When you accidentally push this code on GitHub or something maybe, and somebody reads that, your whole database is compromised, your client IDs are compromised. For me currently this works, because only you guys are going to use this, and that is not going to be a problem. But in a production environment, this definitely creates a lot of problems. So to encounter that, let's go into our root and create a .env file. Now, this .env file is something which, for example, when you are using version control or something, when you push your files to GitHub or something like that, this file gets ignored and this doesn't get pushed to GitHub or something like that. Or even whenever, for example, if you are in a common workspace or something, and there are different teams that you deal with, maybe you don't want to share each and every credential, something like that. So let's create a .env file, which is basically a very protected file, which doesn't go anywhere unless you specifically give it to someone. And in your app.js, just go on the top, and let's install one package which was which is required till node version 20 point something, I don't remember, but the latest stable release which we all installed requires this package, which is require, and let's say .env .config, if I am correct. But this will throw an error. So let's hit Control C in our terminal and close our server for now. And let's say npm install .env. This is what we want. So this will install it for us. And again, it says some vulnerabilities due to some older packages. Let's ignore it for now. And once we do that, what it allows us to do is um, uh, just hover over there, the config function. It says config function, it says loads the .env file contents into process.env by default. So process.env is an internal attribute for our Express.js server, and our Node.js server, and all our environment variables, or the secret keys, or all of those can be stored in our .env file. So to do that, let's do the first major thing, and store our Mongo URL very safely. which is our connection string. So inside of your .env, there is a very specific way to write your variable names. So people, usually the convention is you give everything as capitals and say Mongo URL. This is the variable name that will be used, and you just write equals without any spaces. Let's come here and wherever this URL was used, let's just copy it, and in the .env file, let's paste it right here and hit save. And instead of writing all of these strings, now we will start doing one thing. For example, in our app.js, instead of writing this thing here, this string, what we will do is we will write process.env and square brackets, and we will write a key that we want to refer to, which is Mongo URL. So instead, so this accesses our server accesses our .env file, and we get the Mongo URL from the .env file, and let's hit save. We continue doing the same thing, and this process variable is available everywhere in our Express.js server. So even in, let's go in index.js and replace all of these Mongo connect with this process.env, so it gets rid of some extra code as well, all of this unsecure code, and we just keep on saying the process.env Mongo URL. So it refers to our .env file, and we keep on uh, pasting it everywhere. So I hope we should not have missed some places here. Uh, this is a standard practice which is to be done everywhere as a good security feature for your code base as well. In fact, we definitely wouldn't be able to cover GitHub, but if I might do one more session maybe in the future using Visual Studio Code, but try leaving your API keys in the open and pushing to GitHub. It will give you a message. GitHub will send you an email saying your passwords are exposed to the public. Um, in the index controller as well, we can, I think, replace this with process.env Mongo URL. Let's just try again running our server, and once it loads, once our server actually loads. Okay, I think it's working now. If I just reload this now, it should work. Okay, it does work, and let's just perform a login now and see what is happening. Is everything working fine? We log in once, our database connects perfectly, and everything is okay. Just a few more things. In the end, we also have these client IDs and client secret exposed right here. So let's also hide that. And the way to do that is again the same thing. Let's go and cut this from here. Let's just say, let's press enter and write Google client ID equal to, and this thing. Let's save it. Let's also cut our client secret from here, and in our .env file again, let's go and write Google underscore client underscore secret equal to, and this thing. And instead of writing client ID like this, let's just say process dot env, and in square brackets we will just say Google underscore client underscore ID, and for this we will say process dot env square brackets Google underscore client underscore secret, and let's just save now. Okay, we also left this very thing in the open. This should also be process dot env and square brackets saying Mongo underscore URL. I think we are good to go now. All our API keys and all our connection strings, passwords, usernames, everything is in the .env file. Um, and that's all. I think we leave it here for today, and tomorrow we will now do give the finishing touches. Now today was, I think, the last day where we did some major upgrades or writing some routers for Express.js. You can, if you are only interested about Express.js and writing some backend, this is the only thing which you should be worried about. If you are not worried about front end, completely fine. This is the last place where we want to write all of these functions or all of these routers in our Express.js app. We could definitely extend many other features into our app, and we could definitely create uh, many more middlewares and all of those things. And you can continue building on this, reading on many other things, and so on. Tomorrow we will just give one day for our final front end touches. Currently, the website looks really ugly. I'll just brief a very little about Bootstrap tomorrow, which is based on CSS Flexbox and Grid. We will basically be focusing on CSS Flexbox. So I would suggest that. I can say that today we are done with our Express.js app. Tomorrow we will do our Bootstrap front end. So today, like from day 5 to day 6, we didn't have any task, but today definitely. I would suggest you to go and read about this Bootstrap, and I'll attach their official documentation page. It is one of the most common popular front end libraries, which you can use to build good enough user interfaces. So that is what we will be using. And tomorrow we will hopefully have a better looking front end. We will also, which we have not introduced, like we did not display the product URLs or something like that. We didn't go into that specifically, so we will not be doing that. I will definitely keep just one section at the end where I'll attach some references how you can move this forward. And or after tomorrow as well, I'll just attach some references. And when we come out with the videos, again, you are free to ask any doubts on how certain features are to be implemented in the future if you want. If not, we'll close our session today. Okay. Do we have any doubts, or anybody with any queries or something like that? Okay. If I just want to know if you guys have been doing it along with me, or doing all of this programming along with me this whole time. How like are If you are doing so, just give a thumbs up, so I know that there are people who are doing this alongside. uh, have some of you already created Express apps? Are they working? Maybe write in the chat or give a thumbs up, something like that. Is there somebody who is created? Okay, Deepshika, not in the last couple of days. Okay, no problem. Matlab, even if you had done in the past, it's fine. But okay, so I think at least 2 or 3 people did give a thumbs up. Even if you did in the past, it's fine. Maybe you are yet to build. And but yes, I understand. I understand. The date was surely overlapping. So uh, it's okay. Some people definitely did it, and if not, um, you can definitely look at the code and do it alongside. Maybe we'll release a form Can we have a dedicated Q&A in a couple of days later? Mm, maybe we can see tomorrow. Let's try to finish our front end as fast as possible. Then, if we want to have a dedicated Q&A, or we can leave some time after yesterday. Sorry, after tomorrow session tomorrow, uh, and we can have some dedicated Q&A section there on the last day. If that works, it's fine. Uh, Again, this is the repository where we put our code. Recording will be released after 21st. After tomorrow, we will release it as a series on our channel, Sundarban's House channel. I think I sent the link. So this is where the recordings will be posted. Okay. So if not, then we'll wrap up. You can use the above URL. Just go run npm install. Try doing this. Try running this app yourselves, and you will have a lot of room to experiment with. This is basically a very bare bones starting point for any Express.js app with authentication setup and basic CRUD application, CRUD operation setup. Uh, we'll talk a little bit about all of these things tomorrow. Maybe I'll stop the recording for the day. Okay.